Good evening. Welcome to the Mind of STEM channel, where you get your daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm your host, Leon Jones, and I'm doing my second video tonight because I want to get into design, and design is very important. Now, the first video I dealt with site analysis. Now, in this video, I want to talk about concept design. So, I'm going to just give this topic. Let's talk about concept design. Now, I'm doing a lot of this because there was a 12-story condo that collapsed in Florida, and I have an idea why it collapsed. But when it comes to building, you want to make sure that you follow all the specifications. You want to make sure all your materials are tested properly. You want to make sure you bring in the right materials. You want to make sure that the plans are correct. Make sure your RFIs, your RFQs, these are all prevalent to the design. Want to make sure you have a good topo, a good site analysis. Understand what's on your site. Understand the environmental part of what's going on with a project. Now, in this one, we're going to talk about concepts of design. Geometry is going to be included. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And here we go. Again, this is from a course that I took at Ivy Tech. It is an architecture course. So if you're interested in being an architect, I'll tell you one school that had, two schools that have architecture, Indiana University Bloomington, and of course, Ball State has architecture. Now, if you're looking for landscape architecture, you have Ball State, you have Purdue. If you're looking for interior design, you have IUPUI, Indiana State University, and of course, Ball State. But let's get into concept design. Now, part of concept design involves form. Now, why is this important? Because form, we deal with space. And when we have space, it gives architecture definition, because architecture is about aesthetics. Now, when you look at the screen, you have what we call a basic layout, then the form. And I can blow this up for you. And here's the design. This is a building. You have your coffee shop, your gallery. Blow it up again. Everything is color coded for a reason. It's color coded so you know exactly what parts of the building are residential, what is a coffee shop, your lobby. Because when you design a building, again, from an architecture standpoint, it's all about the aesthetics. Let's move on, shall we? Let's talk about the origins of form. When we deal with form, form follows function, parameters, and information, like site information, client, and typology. You'll see form right here in the middle of our diagram, because form is surrounded by your client, your typology. Your typology, you deal with the land, and then your site information. Now, when we talk about site information, again, that's where your site plan comes into effect. Something else you need to know about drawings. If you're an architecture student and you have a design in mind, we use bubble diagrams. And what I'm showing you is some examples of bubble diagrams. They're actually bubble diagrams. They look like bubbles. Your bubble diagram is a sketch that basically allows you to put your creativity on paper. Now I'm gonna blow the bubble diagrams up so you'll see them, like a house. Bubble diagram, your lobby, your living room, your kitchen, your patio. Here's another house. This is what's part of the design concepts. Going down, you have your plaza, your parking lot. You have a house. You know, you have a house with your bedrooms. You also have another house. Now, again, as we talk about bubble diagrams, a bubble diagram is a freehand diagrammetric drawing or diagrammatic drawing for space planning and organization. Now, usually this comes in the preliminary phase of the design process. And it's also part of the foundation of the design process. So when you draw a bubble diagram, you define the spaces. You look at the hierarchy and relation of spaces, sizes of spaces and proportions, adjacency requirements. You also show circulation between spaces, and you have your open and closed spaces. Now, you also have your origins of form. As you see right here, you can look at your form in the terms of light. Let me get one thing straight. I said typology. Typology, we deal with text. Topology, we deal with land, okay? Let me make that correction. Now back to the origins of form, because we're dealing with concepts with response to climate. And you're going to deal with the client, especially when you're an architecture student, because architecture is also broken up into landscape architecture and interior design, and you deal a lot with clients. But when we deal with climate, we deal with light, we deal with sun, topography, which that's your land, wind, and temperature. Now, when you're designing any type of structure, you want to have your views, you want to have your privacy. What kind of design do you want? Do you want something modern? Do you want something traditional? Do you want to have something that's surrounded by vegetation? Do you want your structure to be in a jungle? Do you want it to be surrounded by a body of water? That's something that you and the client have to discuss. Now, in any type of design, this is where you have to understand geometry. And your geometry involves primary shapes and solids like circles, triangles, and of course, squares. You have spheres, cylinders, cones, pyramids, and cubes. Now, your circle, your triangle, and squares, they're all two-dimensional. Your pyramid, your cone, your cylinder, you have a couple cubes, and you also have a rectangular type of shape here too. Those are all 3D. 2D has X and Y. 3D has X, Y, and Z. Again, when we deal with geometry, many variations of a form can be generated from the primary solids, and you can manipulate dimensions. You can add, you can subtract elements. Also, When we deal with geometry, you can move elements around to suit your purpose of your design. Also, when we deal with design, we deal with space configuration. Now, your space configuration can give you the shape of a cube, can give you a U shape, an L shape, a T shape. You can have a straight line. You can have something irregular, or you can have a complex shape. Now, there are also void spaces, because when we think of architecture as an additive process, well, contractors typically assemble construction elements one by one. But architecture can also be thought of as subtractive, where portions of a volume are removed to reveal their essence, like a Michelangelo type of structure or sculpture. Again, when we deal with void spaces, you have ventilation, private environment, a social area for residents to meet, like a lobby, a gathering place. Now, again, when I did this assignment, we had to actually show the arrangement of our spaces. We had to show connections using bubble diagrams. But one important aspect of design is you got to create a sketch. A sketch is a freehand drawing. Now, you have CAD sources like Revit that you use. Revit can create 3D shapes. Revit is just like using the Fusion 360 they do for mechanical drawing. But in the long run, what I'm doing is giving you basic concepts of what goes into concept design. Again, we deal with concept design. We give the space definition. Let me move further and tell you, space gives architecture definition. And it should be malleable and easy to understand. Again, when we deal with origins of form, we deal with site information, we deal with the client, and its typology. And that concludes this topic on concept design. Hope you enjoyed this second video. Now, what I want you to do, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. It's the Mind of STEM channel. And on this channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And if you're looking for political content, you can check me out on the 401 Talk Zone radio show here on YouTube. And you can also check my Blog Talk Radio show out. Now, what I've been doing with Blog Talk Radio, so I can cut down on work, I actually been fusing Blog Talk Radio and, of course, YouTube together with Zoom, so you can actually see what's going on. But I have a guest calling number, 215-383-5785. Now, if you cannot find me on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, you can simply check me out on Twitter, MeWe, and Parler. And once again, I thank you for listening to the second video tonight from the Mind of STEM channel. And here on this channel, get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Until next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you to have a wonderful and gracious evening, and God bless you.